I'd like to call this meeting to order. At this time, do I have a motion on the floor to call the Finance Facilities Committee meeting to order?
A motion that we call this meeting to order.
You gonna second it?
You seeking a motion?
I'm sick. Yeah, that's what I said. I'm seeking a motion to get.
Can we go into our facilities meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you had on the agenda?
Huh? Yes, ma'am. I'm seeking a motion for us to go into our Facilities Committee meeting. I want to call it to order. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Shamice Carter, Director Carter made a motion. You gonna second it, President Briggs? I think she's gone. I'm gonna have to second it.
I got a bad signal.
Can you hear us?
She said she seconded.
Second.
Okay. It has been moved properly second, and we go into our Facilities Committee meeting at 5:31. Call the meeting for a vote. President Briggs,
Yes. Aye.
Director Carter,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Our first topic is adoption of our agenda. I ask that we make a motion to adopt the Facilities Committee meeting agenda. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Vice President Reagan, I move that we adopt the agenda as printed.
It has been moved and second that we adopt the agenda as printed. I'm gonna call it to vote. President Briggs,
Aye.
Director Carter,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I think it's a delay this time.
Chair votes aye. Now we're gonna take approval of the minutes for the August 21st joint committee meeting for the Finance and Facilities Committee. Has everybody had a chance to read over the meeting minutes?
Just for your information, this was adopted by the Finance Committee. They adopted these minutes on Tuesday,
Okay,
so that way you know that as well, so.
Thank you.
thank you. President Briggs, have you had a chance to read the meeting
Yes,
minutes?
I had an opportunity to read the minutes.
Okay. I gotta vote on that too. I gotta vote on that. Yes, sir. Okay. Now I'm gonna seek a meeting for us to approve the approval of the minutes. So I'm seeking a motion that we approve the August the 21st, 2019 minutes.
A motion.
Director Carter, President Briggs, I get a second.
A second.
It is moved and properly second that we that we approve the minutes on August 21st. President Briggs,
Yes.
Director Carter,
Aye.
Chair votes aye, 3-0. Now we're gonna move forward with the discussion items. 4.1, district-wide assessment update, which will be given by Justin or you.
Well, I have Justin Durham here from Hollis & Miller. I emailed this to you earlier this week. One of the things that you wanted us to do was to tour the activity facilities. Justin and I did that a week or two ago. A couple weeks ago. We toured it. Mr. Weiler joined us, and Mr. Allen did join us for parts of it. What you have in front of you are some of the things that we think are possibilities, obviously, to be improved within the 2020 bond or down the road or whatever the board whatever we decide to pick. But we wanted to kind of put everything out there, at least so we know that we've got some things to choose from. In talking to Justin, obviously, as we sit right now in September of 2019, this is material and labor costs. Obviously that may go up as time goes by, depending on, when we decide to do some of these things. But as we sit right now, these are kind of industry standards for the pricing for material and labor for these items. So you've got the whole gamut there. I put in there all the stuff that we've had before. This was the piece that you kind of specifically asked for that we add to. And so I wanted to show that to you. Any questions you might have about any of that?
President Briggs, any questions for Mr. Justin, since he's here?
No, I don't have any questions at this point.
What is the total cost again? So we can let it-
11,329. So I wanted to go over a couple things. I want to explain the main bleacher epoxy. At Ruskin, there's a lot of concrete facing and stuff, and we want to put an epoxy on that that'll make it easy to clean, look good for a long period of time. Concrete tends to fade, look bad, stains sometimes. That epoxy coating will make it pop, and with those blue, we take those blue seats off, clean it, do an epoxy coating on it, it lasts a long time, it's really nice. Scoreboard, we talked about I'm losing the name.
They're called Score Vision.
Yeah, they're video boards, like a lot of the other schools are doing too. We would talk about changing the tennis courts. What we talked about, where the tennis courts sit now, we would make that additional parking, eliminate the tennis courts from there, and move the tennis courts over to that 2.5 acre area that's grass currently, and put a new facility for tennis, and add parking for us. Athletic storage, we talked about on the north side of the bleachers, that we would actually put a storage facility, so we had to store a lot of that stuff inside the building. I think that's something we need desperately. Concession remodel, 80-yard turf field, we talked about putting an 80-yard turf field on top of that 2.5 acres as well, for the purposes of soccer and football can practice at the same time. Or if, like this week, we had a soccer tournament and football's up on the grass area, but we put them on turf, that'd be better for them. So we talked about that piece, redo all the shot put and discus areas in that area, new press box and scoreboards. Auditorium improvements, this is one we really wanted to look at. New lighting, seating, almost 2.4 million there. All new windows in the gym, those are very old windows, up top. Love having them, but they need to be replaced. New field turf, which we've talked about before. Turf baseball field, if we decided to put something on our facility, then that would be the cost for that. We did some upgrades to the Hickman campus area, maybe some scoreboards and stuff like that for them. And then if we do decide to demo that baseball field, leave that grass up there, probably to do a total reseed and add water to that area. So, and obviously you don't want to do it all, it's kind of cafeteria style. Pick what we want to do, but wanted to get all that up there for you. So you had something to refer to. So that's the big addition. The other big addition is probably the secure entries tab. We've talked about that, added some secure entries, so we added some cost to that. This is a pretty typical project for schools at this age. We have a few schools that have some secure entries, but the schools that don't, we added that tab as well. So we get an idea of aggregate numbers for that as well. So.
I do have a question. One thing I didn't see in there, if we was supposed to do with the baseball fields, and especially with the upgrading up at the Hickman campus, have we looked at the sprinkler systems? Because you're going to need a sprinkler system.
Yeah,
I didn't
absolutely.
see none of that on there.
Well, it's part of the whole package, and what I would do is if we decide to go turf, if you go turf with the baseball field, then the grass is irrelevant somewhat, unless you do it in the outfield.
Right.
You can do a turf infield and then do a grass outfield, and we can still add some water to that. But we actually, if we decide to do a baseball field at the Hickman campus and not on Ruskin, then we've got a lot of renovation to do. Justin, in this one, you were talking about at Ruskin, right?
That is correct.
No,
Okay.
well, that one I was talking about, when you always talking about demo the baseball fields and reseed it.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about reseeding something, you're going to need irrigation.
Yeah, you
need
gotta have
water.
water.
Yeah, so on the
That's
reseeding piece, when we would do that, we would put in our documents on our specifications to have whoever did that, they would come back out like every couple of days and water that for us until it's established. Until that grass is good, 4-6 inches tall, ready to be mowed the first couple of times. So we would have the contractor mow it for us. We wouldn't necessarily want to go to the full expense of adding a sprinkler system in a field that we weren't going to use that sprinkler system over and over again. If we wanted to turn that into a legitimate grass field that we would use for practices and things like that, that would be something where we would look at adding a full sprinkler system that we would use, 8-9 months out of the year, and then turn it off in October and turn it back on in March, something like that. Yeah.
So we're looking at the turf field would be over for softball and baseball.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
A
And
good
that's-
example is Raytown, right?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
very common right now. It's a dual use. That way, that turf field gets used in the fall for softball, and then you start using them again in the spring for baseball. So it gives it that dual purpose. Yep. And I will note for everyone's knowledge that the prices that you see there include hard cost. So that's what the numbers we would expect to see on bid day. And then we take those hard costs and multiply them by about 25%. You add 25%, and that's your soft cost. So soft costs you're going to pay for your permits from Kansas City, Missouri, any special testing that we have, contingency, right? I've got about 10% in contingency in all these projects because we all know that things happen as we start construction projects. So we've got that covered. You've got professional fees in there, so that would pay your architect, engineer. Those are prices that would be all-in numbers. That's what we call all-in numbers. So that's everything included. So when we start to add these up, what we don't want to do is, let's say you have a bond issue of, just pick a number, $2 million. We don't want to say that you have $2 million in hard costs because you're going to have extra money in soft costs, and those will come back up to bite you. So when we add up all the numbers of the things that you pick, like Dan said, this is kind of buffet style. So let's go through and pick those things that are really priorities for us to do. When we add those numbers all together, that will be your all-in cost. There won't be any surprises at the end of the day.
I think one thing to note too is that the contingency percentage I think is really important. We always kind of look for a 10%.
Oh, we
Okay.
can't see you, so say stuff. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, because it's kind of going in and out. So the projects that are, we're talking about the projects that are being identified that we could potentially, that we're going to potentially do with the bond money that we're talking about?
Well, we just give all the projects related to the activity areas. So then when we do decide to pick projects, we have it all in front of us when that time comes.
And so you did factor in a contingency fund,
Right.
correct? I think I heard.
Yeah, that's what I
What's
was.
that percentage on?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to explain. I think it's pretty typical for school districts to do somewhere between 5 and 8%. Due to the age of our buildings and some of the things we deal with, I kind of let or asked Justin to put 10% in because that seems to be a good number for our construction projects.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we do take that into consideration this bond cycle.
Sure, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Any other questions about this or any of the other tabs you might have seen?
I haven't really seen anything. You got any questions?
Let me, MEP, by the way, is mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, by the way. I probably should, this tab right here, it says MEP. It's mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, and I didn't explain that, and I should have. So I apologize for that, but,
Well, go ahead.
so.
Go ahead and explain a little bit, just out for rough. Since you
So
got it
you
up.
want me to navigate through?
Oh,
He's gonna explain the mechanical and the plumbing and all that too, President Briggs. Oh, they should just.
So we broke it down by school for you. So as you see it, you'll see kitchen, they're all very tailored to that building, okay? So kitchen exhaust obviously would be something at Burke, but may not be something in some other building. So we explained all of those in there. So all these fall under one category, so we chunked them by school for you. And then the total cost, where it says MEP at the top, that's the total cost for that building. And again, as we go through this process of what are we going to address with the 2020 bond money, again, we can cafeteria style this, we can say, hey, we're gonna do all the HVAC across the district. You know, this way at least we have everything in front of us to know what is needed, what the estimated cost would be. Now, obviously for me, these are infrastructure things that are really important to me, and I think very functional to our schools. I would want to put a lot of emphasis on this area for sure. I think there's a lot of things in here that we need long term for the continued functionality of our buildings that are, the average age of 55 years old. We need these MEP projects front and center.
So I see compasses on there. What is going on with compass installed?
Well, print shop is actually down below here.
Yeah.
It's down here. They need a new exhaust and makeup air system. They never got one during that project.
And then the rooftop units over the administration area,
They're
we did not replace those when we did this full building because they were in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to this bond issue, and then by the time this bond issue is complete, say in 5, 6, 7 years, those will probably be due to be replaced or repaired. So we put them on the list for now. They may not need it for another 5 or 6 years, but we wanted to show you guys that, you know, we're thinking about that cost now,
They might-
because it may be something that we have to accomplish or we might want to do before we get to go out and borrow more money on the next bond issue.
So I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit. So whatever we don't pick for the 2020 bond, just like Justin was saying, 4 or 5 years down the road, then this group, I'm hoping, then we'll create a, next year, what are we gonna address? Next year, we're gonna do a 3 to 5, 10-year plan. Keep using this in front of us to say, so the column C will be, hey, we're gonna address this in 2022. We'll address this in 24. And then that way we have a plan in place, always in front of us. You know, if we exchange committees or whatever, we've at least got a plan in place for years to come. And I think that's really important with this. So this is gonna be a living, breathing document that we're gonna use not only for the 2020 bond, but even beyond that, way beyond that.
Question,
Mhm.
so underneath Burke, where I'm looking at, so it's hard for me to see,
Yeah.
where it says plumbing improvement,
Right.
150,000, that one I'm looking at, and the one underneath it where it says we are replacing, is that the drain piping for 62,000? Is that the same?
Yeah, underfloor sanitary drain piping,
Okay,
yeah.
that's just the estimate, is that still what we talked about over the summer with that, what were we talking about with the, the sewer line?
Oh, that's
The sewer-
Doc,
so-
that's
Warford.
Warford.
Warford,
Yeah,
okay,
that's
so that was not Burke.
Is Warford
Okay,
on there?
sorry.
Yeah, we got all schools.
Yeah, just.
Yeah, Ingalls, Truman, all the schools.
Warford,
Yeah.
okay.
Plumbing improvements, that would be
Okay.
part of that.
Yeah, that
So
would
they're
probably.
at
There's
that
various-
150.
There's various improvements we would make there, more than that.
Okay.
So if you guys accomplish anything now, Dan and I would update the spreadsheet,
Right.
and then that number would come down and we would start to, you know, keep a running tally of the projects that we have. Yeah.
President Briggs, you got anything? I don't know if she is. Sound like she dinged out.
I understand that you have the mechanical, the MEPs in front of you. Have we also did an assessment of our structure,
Yeah.
those buildings?
Yes. When we did our assessment in 2014, we did a full structural review of all of our buildings. I will say that you guys have done a good job in the last few years of kind of picking off parts and pieces of the things that we had identified. We had some issues identified at this location here at Baptiste, and then we also had some at Ruskin High School, and I think you guys have done a good job of almost every year making the adjustments that you could budget-wise to accomplish what we could. So I think those were the major structural issues that we had in the district. Once we had some over at the middle school,
Yep.
but since we're not using that site as much anymore right now,
Right.
then we kind of let those go. But you guys have done a nice job. So all the other buildings are in pretty good sound shape. There's not a lot of major repairs or issues that we would have to address like we did at Ruskin here at Baptiste.
And the Baptiste one went out to bid on this Tuesday. As we discussed, we would put it on September and approve in October. I'll bring those to this committee. The Baptiste beams, and we talked about doing the bottom half this year, top half June. That way we can pay it in July, so we kind of split up the cost between the 2 fiscal years. So that's out right now for bid, and we're waiting to open those in about another 2 weeks.
Okay, I just want to make sure that, you know, I know that the MEPs and the assessment of the property has been done, but I want to make sure that there's no structural, no structural. You can assure us that there is, if you can assure the board that you don't anticipate us having any structural issues as we start to repair plumbing, sewer lines, whatever we're going to repair, and disrupting the foundation. I mean,
Well, some of this will happen once we pick a construction manager at risk, and the architectural and engineering firms, they will begin additional assessments to understand, okay, here are the projects they're considering, and then go looking at those sites to make sure that exactly what you're talking about. But that'll happen once we pick the architect firm, along with the engineering firm and the construction manager at risk. And those are all on our schedule that we gave to you on Tuesday night.
Okay, and my other question to the group is, have we, I don't know what's gonna be remodeled, but as far as asbestos, or flooring in our buildings, have we determined, where there may be old asbestos?
Yes. So as part of our assessment that we did in 2014 that we've been updating, I'm going to go to Dobbs as an example because it'll answer both of the questions that you just asked, Ms. Briggs. So you ask about, are there any other additional structural issues that we may have in our buildings? The answer is yes, but we do have those accounted for in our current budgets. So if you were to go to the Dobbs Elementary site, you'll notice that we have about $265,000 allocated for mudjacking and piering. So those would be structural issues that we currently know about. That's where some of our classroom floors are starting to dip at the corners, or maybe they have a little bit of a valley in the middle of the classroom. So we have identified those, we know where those are, and those are on our list of items that we may want to repair.
Right, and what would be helpful, I know for me, is that those pieces are very critical. I know that when you start disrupting that part of the building, if you can kind of pull.
Yes, I can do that. I will isolate that as a tab for you guys. That way you know exactly where those sites are and what the cost of all those repairs are expected to be. And then the same goes for the abatement piece. So like at Dobbs Elementary again, we know that if we do some flooring repairs or replacements, we do have a line item in there right now of about $300,000 to do flooring abatement. So we do have some of those costs identified and worked into the budgets as well.
Okay.
Any more questions? Comments?
If there's something that you need to.
Is this something, I'm asking all of us, is this something we're gonna bring to the board?
I guess I'm unclear what you would bring, we can give this to everybody, that's no problem. I don't know what you're voting on.
No,
Right.
I'm
If
not
there's
sure.
nothing that you need to advance to the board,
Yeah.
then this is just for informational purposes.
And I can we can give it to all the board. We can do it just, I can send it to everybody this week, that's not a problem.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I just think it may be a little premature to, I know we're not taking action on it, but it's going to be critical that we continue to communicate the needs of the district as often as we can.
Sounds good to me. Well, any more questions, concerns? All right, we're gonna move right along. Justin, we wanna thank you for
Yeah,
coming out.
thanks for having me.
Um,
If you guys got any questions, please get with Dan or myself and we'll get any information you guys need.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you guys.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting you. Well, 4.2, we kind of talked about Ruskins High School track. I think I was, the reason why I was talking about that, if it was a potential bond, we want to include it in the facility, that pole vault, disc throw,
Absolutely.
and long jump run. And so those were some of the things that we didn't talk about in the last one. So since we did go over that a little bit just today, I didn't see that, I missed that. When you
Yeah,
had-
it's in the
It's in the,
athletic
yeah,
piece.
it's already an assessment piece.
Yeah.
So, we can move, anything on that? Anybody? Ms. Briggs, President Briggs? I guess not. Well, moving along to 4.3, update on, the school no weapon notification stickers.
Yeah, I ordered 40 more. Should be here hopefully next week, and we'll start putting them up. So our metal signs are appropriate. They're all at each building. There are entrances into and exits to the parking lot. The metal signs that are on the posts. So I've ordered 40 of the stickers to go on the door windows, and they're 10 inches high, 12 inches wide, so pretty wide. And it says firearms in general. It's not just gun. It's got a picture of a knife and a gun with a
Kind of like
Went
what
through
we
it.
saw.
So, actually, there's one out here,
Yeah,
it's
like
just
we
really
saw.
small,
Yeah,
so
like we
this
saw.
one's quite a bit bigger. And, but as soon as I get them all, place them all over the district, so.
When do you expect those to be in, Mr. Weeks?
He thought he'd give them to me late next week, so as soon as I get them, I'll put them up, it won't take long.
And that'd be at all buildings,
Mhm.
back, front, side to side.
Yep. What I looked at was, I toured the entire district and looked at all what I consider to be public access. So doors that public would go in and out of is where I'm gonna put it, because there's some doors that are just employee only, and I would put them there, but, so public access doors is kind of what I focused on. So,
President Briggs, you got anything?
it was about
Oh.
$1,000,
$1,000?
something, a little under that, but.
President Briggs? I guess not, she's there now. Ms. Carter,
No.
Director Carter? The water or sewage line, 4.4 update on it. What's really going on? I saw that we had some stuff up here, but I don't,
Yeah,
what's
so.
the update?
As I put it, as Dr. Cargill put in the September 6th email, our master plumber, Terry Vera, has worked with this line for several years now, feels very comfortable where we're at right now. He's cambered the line, says, and he actually put up, when he cambered, he also put he took the camera off and put a router bit on it and routed out the tree roots. And he said, it's kind of a 50-50 chance, but sometimes you take out the roots, they grow back, sometimes they don't. We have a plan though, what's called bursting. Bursting is the idea that you take existing pipe, and it is the best way I can describe it is kind of like it's kind of a metal and plastic coating, and it shoots right through the old pipe and creates a new pipe automatically. Okay, and it's tree root resistant. It doesn't break. It's heat and cold resistant. It's one of the newest technologies, probably in the last 10 years in plumbing. And bursting is actually what we did for the lines that came out of Ruskin last year. We burst it all the way through. It's a cheaper process, and it's much more effective than digging the whole thing up and replacing the whole line. Don't need to do that. So we have a plan. We know exactly where the problems are through the camera work, because it gives you a feet, so you know where you enter and how many feet it is, so you know exactly where those roots are. So he cameras it about every, I'd say 3 to 4 months, just to take a look. He chewed up the roots in late May, so he'll probably end up cameraing here before it gets too cold and check it one more time. And so right now it's going fine. Everything's working fine.
Okay, so the concerns that we had over the summer that you had about the whole back edge, how it can, if the sewer line backs up, it can go inside the school, all of that, and that cost that we had, at first you said it'd be a lot of money. So now we have somebody that's gonna resolve that for less money, so it's gonna fix that. There should be no worries right now.
Our guy can get through it, just like he did before. The bursting would have to be done by a contractor, that's beyond.
But we should still worry about that, right? That should still, what you're saying is that's something that's still not gonna be resolved.
What I'm saying is we're watching it, and if it does become an issue where we have to do the bursting, we already have a plan in place and we already have a company ready to go.
Okay.
And they actually were there with us when we did the video camera, so they know exactly what to do as well. So if Terry thinks that there's no way that this will work anymore, what he's doing with it to make it work, then we have a plan in place ready to go, and the company knows what to do as well.
Okay, so we already got something set in place just in case it happens.
We're ready, if it ends up being something we have to do.
And
And right now we don't.
what was the cost you said for that?
I think it was 34,000 at the time we did it, and that was, is that
You said,
February?
you said May or February,
Well,
March, I mean, or February.
but we kind of knew about the problem kind of early spring, late winter,
Oh,
and then we cambered it, so, so yeah, I would say it may be a little bit more than that, because cost of materials and labor always goes up, so,
It's an estimate.
yeah,
34,000.
so.
President Briggs, you have anything? I don't know if she's with.
I don't have anything at this moment. I'm just listening.
Okay.
Okay. 4.5, the update at the basketball goals and all
Yeah.
of the things up in Irving.
So part of the Shaping Our Future, as I put in the email as well, was to create a playground for 4th and 5th graders. So as of right now, they are going down to the track and they're doing all kinds of things down there. We put together soccer goals today, just some play soccer goals that they can play on too, because the original playground was geared towards pre-K kids, pre-K and kindergarten. So a lot of the material that's there for playground equipment is not 4th and 5th grade appropriate. I mean, they can play on it, but they'd rather have different equipment. So, you know, kids nowadays, they want to be on bigger things. So we bought those 2 basketball goals, and the existing ones we took at Burke and moved over. We're gonna cut those off and actually put lower basketball goals instead of just having 10-footers. We're gonna have some 8-footers, and we're even gonna take some of them, put them over on the smaller kid side and have like 6-footers for them. Because they don't have any basketball goals over there that are like true basketball goals. So we're gonna utilize the ones that we brought over. We're just gonna cut those off because you can't use new concrete around the old. It doesn't work. And so we're gonna cut those off and reuse them. So we're actually gonna get 5 goals out of that price. So it's gonna work out great. And the kids, the 4th and 5th graders are gonna get 2 brand new goals down there by the football field. So it's gonna be great.
And what is the timeline for all this? Because right now, I have visited over there to Irvin today, and it is kind of being a big concern that the 4th and 5th graders don't really have anything to do too much.
We'll put the
this
soccer
practice.
goals deal today, so they probably went in today. I'm hoping the basketball goals will go in next week, but they're being diverted from some of the other projects right now that are more inside the building. So I'm hoping we can get my guys free to do it next week, so.
Well, it would be real good if we could get something for those 4th and 5th graders.
Yep.
Right now, they don't really have a lot to do. And you know, when students don't have a lot to do, trouble comes right behind that.
You bet.
So we can try to implement that as fast as possible to get some help over there for them for that.
Yep.
Because that would be a big plus for them to run off some of that energy that they have over there.
You bet.
Yes, sir. So the 4.6, moving right along, plan for maintaining district vacant properties, and this was something that was discussed in the Facilities and Finance Committee the last time. Have you came up with your plan, what you're gonna do now?
Our plan hasn't changed. Our plan is just like we did with Old Smith Hill. We're keeping tier of all emergency services, HVAC services. We've turned off water to all the buildings, just so we don't have damage of some type. So we're running our heating and air from 78 degrees on the cooling side, 70, 78 degrees on the cooling side, and running at 60 on the heating side. We don't want pipes to burst and everything. Even though we've drained the water out, there's always a possibility of a leak, and we just don't want that to happen. So we're running a reduction on heating and air. All fire systems are still intact. All fire extinguishers, all that kind of stuff is still intact. So that way, if something was to happen, obviously someone would be called. So if there was a fire and someone pulled the fire alarm, it would still be activated. We still have security systems there that are active as well. So, and then the grounds, we're cutting it once every 2 weeks. So everything that we need to maintain that building right now is intact.
So we cleaned up the back now, it's looking good over
Yeah,
there?
we cut it last Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
And cleaned it all out,
Cleaned it out.
cleaned it up behind Smith Hill?
Oh,
That was
behind
part
we
that
all
was
cleaned.
part of the stuff we was talking
Yeah, we
about.
cleaned everything up behind Smith Hale, but we went there today and there was more dump there, so we, and Simonton as well today. Actually, it happened last night, because I was there on Wednesday for a meeting, and we toured the building again to look at its equipment, and there was nothing back there, and this morning it got dumped again, so we're going to go clean it up as well, so. Gate was locked and everything, they're just going over the curb. So you can see the path of the grass where they're going through, so we'll continue to monitor that. We're there, I'm at Simonton at least once a week myself. I know our guys are doing quick tours as well. I think I have Kelly Hill doing it once a week and me once a week. And then same thing with Johnson. So we're there at least twice a week checking on it, so.
Now,
And Old Smith Hill almost every day.
now cameras, did we take out all the cameras and
Yeah.
stuff out of
Yeah.
those buildings and use?
Yeah, IT did that all over the summertime. They took out all the cameras and they reutilized them over to Burke and some of the other schools, as long as they were in good working condition, so.
Well, I would like to see more cameras over there at Irvin if we can, since there is a lot of blind spots. You know, if we could look at ways of getting more cameras over there for them. That's a really open area over there, as we all know. Now that we have the 5th graders over there, we need to get a little bit more cameras.
We have to prioritize it through the facilities plan based on budget.
Yes, ma'am, I know that's why I asked him about the cameras. That's
Right,
why.
I just don't, I wanna make sure that just because we talk about it here today, doesn't mean we're gonna go purchase cameras at
No,
Urban.
no.
Okay,
And I
just
know
wanna be clear.
Yeah,
And I
no,
want to be clear
Okay.
too, that the cameras have come out of Dr. Smith's budget, and I think it's pretty stressed right now with all the new equipment and
Absolutely.
things, so. I'll certainly talk to her about it, but I know her budget's pretty tight right now, so.
Yeah, we can look at something, you know, maybe bringing it back to the board somehow to get something over there, because it is a lot of open room, and like I said, we got a lot of those fifth graders, and as I toured today, you know, we gotta get them something to do, like ASAP. I don't know when, but ASAP.
So also,
Except for what?
Like over there, for like more curricular activities for.
Oh, for the playground, I
For
thought
the
you were still, I
playground,
thought you were still
ASAP.
talking about the cameras, I
No,
apologize.
no, that's why I'm trying to brush it.
so one thing I would say about the cameras, that it can be included in all this,
Mhm.
which it's not.
No, what,
And so when we get to the point where we want to put a line item in for that, we can certainly do that by building too. And Dr. Smith can supply us the number for that. So I don't want to, it's not on there, but it certainly could be added at any point, so.
yes,
And have someone from IT assess if there's a need to add additional
Right.
cameras.
Absolutely.
We don't know what's being, captured at this moment.
Right, and I know through her cycle, she's just like any IT product. You're gonna have some that are brand new, working great, some are,
that's
need to be
not working,
replaced,
Right,
Yeah.
so.
right. You got anything, Cummings?
No.
Let me see, 4.7, the policy on changing the school names. That was something that I sent out, and I was just thinking, the way we have, I guess, gone with the school policy, I wanna say it's,
Policy FF.
yeah, cause I gotta think. And that was just something that I wanted to bring up, the way we've been, naming our schools and naming things, and it's still it's kinda vague. So I would, if, with the help of the board, maybe bringing that to the policy committee, and looking at that with Mr. Watry and Ms. Carter and President Briggs. I think it's too vague because there's too many loopholes in the way we do it. And when we change the facilities, I understand the reasoning for it. I understand why, but I want to get a better, a concrete way of doing it instead of just doing something. Like right now, we still got people going to Old Smith Hill. We got 2 Smith Hills, whether we say it or not, people still going over there, and they still doing it as of today. So, you know, just making sure that we try to incorporate a different way of that, beside the way we've been doing things. I think that would help out much better in our district. Any more?
Could we look at, what is it, Burke's? I wanted to see that slide. Can we scoot it up so I can look at Burke? I know
Sure.
it was something I was remembering, and I didn't know it was on there.
Which one you want to go at, 4.4?
Yeah, about I know the doors that we had talked about over the summer, it was wrapped inside the budget. Remember, Mr. Ruki, we were gonna have a door that separates.
Burke Academy. Oh,
Yeah, that was.
Those are already done, right?
That's done.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it was
that's-
wrapped inside the budget already, right? 'Cause I
Yeah,
know-
that was part of my budget for this
Okay,
year.
I
Yeah,
was like, well, I didn't look up there and see if that was there, so,
yeah, that's
okay.
completed and done and paid and everything.
You talking about over where now?
Oh,
Burke.
right, those doors that were installed, and then we had like a security alarm or something that was when you added onto the door in the back.
A badging system.
Yeah,
Yeah, was that all done?
everything's done.
President Briggs, you hearing us? You with us?
Yes, I hear you. You talk about the door, so I'm listening,
Oh, okay.
and you said that the door came out of his budget at first. Yes, I'm right here.
Well, I'm glad she brought that.
The phone is muted.
Okay. I'm glad she kind of brought, I did visit over there. Now, I was over there today, and I did go over there with the doors. I know we should have stated this up here at the 4.1 assessments. And one of my questions is if there was ever a fire, will those doors release?
Yep,
They will release and go into.
yep.
And then my other one is that I know that as we go back toward the library in the high school wing, I noticed that those card readers are not working, and the doors were open all the way through to the library. Now, from my understanding, just listening to what Director Carter just stated, I thought there was gonna be some doors right there that was going to separate Mo Ops. I think that's Mo Ops back there in the library. Is that right? Am I wrong?
Correct.
Correct.
It was supposed to section off from where the high school is so that they can't just walk straight back. Because right now the doors are open on both sides and the card readers don't work. So you can go straight all the way through. So what are we doing right now if it's not working?
The card readers were installed yesterday they're called mag locks.
Mhm.
So what happens is that instead of a locking mechanism, it's actually a magnet.
Hmm,
So, and if the magnet's so strong that you can't push on it and open it up,
right.
so when you swipe, it just releases of the magnet. And that was installed, because they had key access before that. So now they have mag locks that go with the card reader as well. So instead of, it's just a different mechanism. Instead of you swiping and pushing on the panic bar, now it's a swipe and the release of the magnet, and that's all been activated.
Well,
So-
right now it was open and it wasn't working.
Well, if it was open, that means someone swiped it and propped it open, because otherwise it would automatically shut with the mag lock. The mag lock will pull it in automatically.
I
So
don't-
someone must have swiped it and pushed it open and propped it open.
Well, it wasn't buzzing, it wasn't chirping.
It wouldn't buzz or chirp.
So I thought, but what is that, a card reader right there?
Yeah, the card reader should.
It should buzz, right?
Not all, not the new ones.
That's,
And the
well, it
mag-
was open, they
Yeah.
both was open today, and I was just wondering, that is a safety,
Yeah, it should be.
safety
active.
violation going straight back, and I'm glad she brought that up. but
Yeah,
I
we'll
thought,
go by and check it. We can go by and check it.
And
Should-
follow up with
should
Ms.
work.
Warren, she was here all day for leadership.
yeah, it was open,
Yeah.
straight open. It was straight all the way through. You could go from the high school and you could go through where the pop machine was, everything was straight open. So
Okay.
I'm glad she brought that up.
Yeah.
We'll check it.
Moving along to,
Two of the
For-
things that I would like to see is, hello?
Hello, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the things I think you need to consider is how we get in and out of Ruston. I mean, we're putting a lot of focus into, some of these other schools, and our high school needs to be a little bit more controlled. The entryways need to be more controlled. After you enter that first door, we really need to have some type of lock buzzard in at second door as well, and maybe a security booth. I don't know, but I mean, I hope that we are considering strengthening that entryway.
Those
And
are
those
the
other
discussions for
doors
the bar.
on that east side.
That's on that assessment I sent you, the security entry tab has Ruskin's security entry project on there.
And what's that cost?
It was over $1 million, I know. I can't remember the exact number.
so it's $1 million to just get a buzzer?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, to have a secure
Yeah.
entry. Remember, I always use the example like the way how you enter Smith Hill, and there is you enter one door where you have to be buzzed in, and then you enter another security. That would be our model for how we want secure entrances at all of our sites. And so that is what he's saying would be the $1 million.
Yeah.
Because just to add a buzzer now,
It's no
It-
different than what we have now.
it's not serving a purpose just to add another buzzer.
I think, well, I guess, once again, because we did talk about this, trying to have the buzzer inside of the
Vestibule.
vestibule,
Mhm.
and it was stated that we shouldn't do it like that.
Because then,
And
I
it
mean,
would have to, it was a cost to it, yeah,
not the cost as
Yeah.
well as now, if it is an intruder that's there to cause harm, they're closer in the building versus outside.
Well, I guess right now, what we have is, and this is something I want to share because I was there, since we're talking about the safety, the students are still letting the parents in. So I don't understand how we're gonna, I don't know what we're gonna do, but that cannot keep going on.
Oh, we'll have to talk, I mean, that's an administrative daily.
You
When
know,
you
it's
see it, do you alert administration?
Well,
So,
the cop, she was there. I let her take care of that. I didn't do anything about
was it today?
It was today.
Okay.
And I just, and it ain't just, I mean, I'm worried about safety.
Absolutely.
And I'm just keeping it real. I've been talking about it, and I just think that I know that the structure of our buildings was not built for that because it wasn't going on. But as we have gotten more in the 20-something future century, we're gonna have to start putting some type of something. I guess it just gets to me because we was gonna spend certain money on certain things, but I think that safety, that would help out with, probably with, helping with the principals, and they don't have to do so much if they had something really. I don't know, maybe we can probably get something from them to see, what do they feel that they might need. Maybe we can get some
Well,
ideas.
when this first came up, I talked to Mr. Allen about the second, and he didn't want that either. He wanted to keep them outside. So he did not want that second buzzer within the vestibule. Yeah. The part you're talking about where, if you're talking about the front of the building, at least we have someone stationed there along with an officer at least there, and I think that's key. The secure entry part, like we have at Smith Hill, is gonna be a huge improvement. Now, if you're down there by the glass hallway and, we have security cameras that look down those hallways all the time, and I know Mr. Allen's got it up on his screen all the time. And whenever he can see someone letting someone in or someone exiting, he's immediately on the radio calling people. So, part of the problem with our that building is you have an enormous amount of exit and entries
Yeah,
next to a major
Yeah, I
highway
understand.
or a major road.
yeah.
And the thankful part is, on the exterior, there's really very few entry points that have a handle. That's great on the exterior side. Interior side, you're kind of stuck. That's why we put those chirpers on every single door down there, because if the door comes open, the chirper goes off, and then that signals us to know that something's going on that shouldn't.
Well, it must not be.
So-
on there.
Question, so we have to have every single door in that school unlocked? Is there a
No,
safety?
no, they're all
So
on.
can't we keep some of those doors locked to where the kids can we lock it to where they're not allowed
Fire
to?
safety.
It's a, okay,
Yeah, you
that's
can't
what I
do
was
that.
trying to say, it's a fire
They
safety.
can lock from
Oh,
outside,
you
just
mean
can't
from
have
the
it internal.
inside out?
Yeah, I was
the
like,
fire
okay.
marshal would have.
Okay.
Up our head.
I was just like thinking, or some way to prevent those parents from,
Yeah.
what can we do for preventing them from getting into the building? How many security do we have, like just one sitting there?
3.
Three
Three?
arresting.
So we have one in the front, where are the other two
They're
at?
Roman.
They have
roaming
to
the
be-
hall?
Yeah,
So if they're roaming well, the school is big, but I'm just trying to figure out how are they still getting these parents in and walking the hallways? What can we do? It gotta be, I understand he has to
yeah. I would
monitor
want to
himself.
quantify that. Like, how often is that happening?
Well, it happened within 5 minutes.
So one time, or in the course of the time that you're in the building, are you seeing it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and
Well-
every time you're there is it happening? Like,
Well, here's what I see, and I've shared it before. I didn't like the kids going outside, and they
And that's
said
been
that
addressed.
they said that they're getting that. I don't like when the lady is sitting there by herself sometimes, and there's nobody there. I don't know if it's because maybe one of the guards is busy or whatever, but
They
somebody.
expect to roam the building.
Yeah, but somebody really needs to be there with her. I don't know how we're gonna get it or something.
That's
needs
not required that someone sits at the front door with her. That's why she has a buzzer system, and there's a protocol in terms of when someone buzzes you, ask them to state their name and what their business is and who are they asking to meet with. And so there are parameters. She doesn't just have to buzz them in. And so it's not required that 2 people have to sit there.
Well, it's been like, I've been up there where 4 people been there. at a
It
time.
can, but it's not required.
No, I
You know,
understand.
all
what you're
day,
saying.
because we also then want our officers out in the buildings during lunchtime, busy times, passing periods in classes. It's impossible for the officer to just sit at the front with her for the entire day. Then there's another area in the building that it isn't being managed in the manner that we need it to be at that crucial time.
I probably would like to see more of the staff probably handling that. Maybe sweeping the school, because
It's all hands on deck.
I think a lot of times we have a lot of them still hanging out. And I'm just gonna keep it real. And
I wouldn't make that statement and without having data to prove it, and based on what they're hanging out, that's not a fair statement to make about staff. Mr.
No, I didn't say staff.
Mi-
I
mi-
didn't say staff. It's hanging out.
Who's hanging out?
Students are hanging out. We're talking
Right,
about
but
students.
you're saying, so Mr. Allen and his team have set parameters in terms of helping to monitor the building and manage halls when they're not teaching. Staff are doing that.
Well, I just guess, like I said, I'm glad they brought it up. Like I said, it was 5 minutes apart today. We had 2 parents come in 5 minutes apart from the
Okay.
back, from that back side that she was talking about. They came all the way to the front. That's a lot of damage you can do within our hallways. And if they need to look on the cameras, they'll probably find out which student let those 2 parents in around about 3:10, 3:15, somewhere in that area. And they can check the cameras.
But
Well-
you said you told the officer?
Well, the officer, I told her, and she finally got the other ones, because we seen one lady came around with her son, then another person came in, he was kind of irate, and she kind of got him.
Okay,
So,
Mr. Beatty, can you check in with the female officer that was in the building and Mr. Allen tomorrow to find out
Which students let him in?
what
Those two.
happened and check into it, please?
So the one that came in the front door,
No,
the guy?
that guy, he didn't come in through the front door. This was later on. He came in through that side door. He came on around. He was going to come and pick up somebody. He didn't come in the front. Then it was a lady that the female cop escorted back out the way she came in.
Okay.
And then that's when the other guy, I guess somehow he was already in the building because he was trying to come and get somebody else. So that was 5 minutes apart from each other. I do know
Were
that.
they together?
No, this guy,
Oh, okay.
no,
All right,
this
all right.
wasn't, no, yeah.
So Mr. Allen has that equipment where he has the monitors that shows who's coming in. So my question is, can the security guard lady that sits in the front, can she have that type of equipment? Because she's not doing nothing but sitting there. That way she can see what's going on. She's more focused, and then she's easily has access to buzz another officer or somebody instead of not saying Mr. Allen can't do it, but he might
He's
be
not in his
distracted.
office all the
Yeah,
time.
he's not in his office all the time.
Yes, ma'am, she's got that on her computer right there.
Oh, she does?
Yes.
Oh, well.
I don't know how to get in, but I'm glad you guys brought that up. And,
But,
yeah.
but she wasn't there today, so,
Okay.
Oh, so different people are working the door.
Yeah, she was up there today. The same lady was there today.
no, it was Mr. Harris.
In the front of the building today. What's the lady's name that works the front of y'all's
Miss
building?
Charlie, did she come back? and
She
see
was
it?
here today, yeah.
Most of the day it was Mr. Harris.
Yeah, no, she was there at the end of the day today.
End of the day?
Yeah, Miss Charlie was there. So, but anyhow, I guess now any questions, Ms. Briggs? And anything? President Briggs? She's on the delay.
Remember, her phone is,
Yeah, on the delay.
on
And then 4.8, should our safety policies for school buildings be sent to the policy committee? I think that's something that's being talked about right now, trying to develop a new safety policy. I'm strongly, and I've said it before, I'm for anything we could do, whether it's cheap things, getting locks, because we did have another board member before you all was on here. She wanted to buy locks, that was Miss Hildebrandt. She wanted to buy some locks to put in the classrooms. I don't think you remember that, Ms. Brookley, for like if it was an intruder alarm or something, she could put the locks like they have
The
out of
push button
Grandview.
locks versus
Yeah.
keys.
Okay,
To
okay.
make it easier to immediately
To get
lock the
in.
door.
It's something that she had brought up and we didn't look at.
Oh, yeah, he provided a cost analysis,
Yep.
and
Oh,
it
yeah.
was far more expensive than we could afford.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically
Well-
putting a swipe on every door.
Yeah. So just looking at it, and then she talked about everybody having keys, if you have them signed out, just different things. I know a key wouldn't probably be a lot to try to buy and have them sign out, and if they don't turn it in, they don't get no check. I think that was something she had mentioned. If they don't sign back in the key, they can't get the check. So I just think we hopefully will come up with, the board will come up with some type of policy, working with our attorneys over here, getting something set up where we can have it edged in stone coming for the new year for our facilities, because we got to lock it down somehow. Things are getting a little tougher now, and that would help out not only with the students, the staff too, so it won't be so many headaches. President Briggs, anything?
Oh, I don't have anything.
Okay, Ms. Courtney.
I'm okay.
Okay. All right, I guess that moves to future agenda. We'll put some of these things on the, I guess we'll bring it back to the board. Some of this, majority of this is already going to the board anyway, that we have on here, so, to bring already, we're talking about it, because it's gonna be for potential bonds. So therefore, you have given us all the information when it comes from the facility side, so therefore, most of this is already going to them. So some of this I don't have to really repeat again, unless there's something else that'll be added on for our future, board agenda. 6.8, future meeting dates. We got board MSBA training and discussion on the 17th of September 2019 at 5 o'clock p.m. 6.2, we're gonna have a levy hearing, September the 24th at 6:15. 6.3, regular session board meeting, September the 24th, 2019 at 6:30. We're gonna have another facilities meeting, 6.4, which is, October the 10th, 2019 at 5:30. And did I miss? I don't see anything about the education, and I didn't see anything about finance, so I don't know anything about their meetings, because it's not on here at this time.
Mr. Reagan, you want them at 5 or 5:30, our meetings? Ms. Carter?
Ms. Carter, what you
I don't have no preference.
5 o'clock, then we can go back to 5.
5, okay.
5 o'clock, we'll go back to our meeting, so then therefore it can be on there.
Okay.
I'm seeking adjournment of this meeting for today at 6:25. So I'm adjourning the meeting at 6:25. I don't have to call no roll call. Yeah. Do I need to? Okay, is she on there?
I just took her off, sorry.
I guess we'll just make a motion to adjourn. Seeking a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
A motion?
Second it. We will adjourn this meeting at 6:26 p.m.
Thank you.
All right.